Imagine someone quietly followed you for 7 ordinary days. They never judged you. They never interrupted you. They simply watched and wrote down what you actually did. At the end of the week, they hand you the notebook. Would it describe the person you believe you are, or the person your habits quietly reveal? Before this video ends, you'll understand why some of your most repeated behaviors stay invisible for years. Not because you're careless, not because your memory is failing, but because your mind was designed to protect your attention, not record your life. Most of us believe we're aware of our own behavior. After all, we're the ones making the decisions. But think about today. How many times did you unlock your phone? How many times did you check a notification, only to discover there was nothing important? How many small decisions have already disappeared from your memory? You'd probably answer honestly, but honest answers aren't always accurate. Memory isn't a camera. It doesn't preserve everything. It edits. It keeps what seems important and quietly removes what feels ordinary. The strange part is, those ordinary moments often shape our lives the most. Psychologist Timothy D. Wilson explores this idea in his book, Strangers to Ourselves. He describes something psychologists call automaticity. It's the brain's ability to turn repeated behaviors into routines that happen with very little conscious attention. Without it, everyday life would be exhausting. Imagine consciously thinking about every movement involved in tying your shoes, unlocking your front door, or making your morning coffee. Your brain creates shortcuts because they're efficient. The shortcuts aren't the problem. The price we pay for them is. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely you are to notice it while it's happening. Afterwards, your mind quietly builds a story that makes it all feel intentional. We remember the explanation more clearly than the process itself. Imagine you're trying to finish an important piece of work. Your phone lights up. You check one message. A minute later, you unlock it again. Nothing new. You lock it. Open your laptop. Then, almost without thinking, your hand reaches for the phone one more time. Not because you made a conscious decision, because the sequence has become familiar. By evening, you remember yourself as someone who stayed focused, not because you're lying, because dozens of tiny interruptions disappeared before your memory decided they mattered. And once they're gone, it's surprisingly difficult to count them. The same thing happens in conversations. Someone says a familiar sentence, and before you even realize what's happening, you're having the same argument you've had before. Later you wonder, why did I react like that? The reaction didn't begin with that moment. It began with a pattern you stopped noticing long ago. So if memory keeps editing the story, how do you discover what's really happening? Not by trying harder to remember, by creating a record. Investigators don't rely on memory alone. Scientists don't rely on memory alone. They write things down. Because records reveal patterns that memory often misses. Your behavior deserves that same honesty. That's where something surprisingly simple becomes powerful. A behavior log, not a diary, not another productivity system. Just a simple record. What were you doing? What happened immediately before it? How are you feeling? That's all. No judgment, no excuses, no searching for meaning, just observation. At first, the pages seem ordinary. One day looks almost identical to the next. Then something begins to appear. The same situations, the same emotions, the same reactions, again and again. Behavior leaves footprints. Memory quietly brushes many of them away. A behavior log simply lets those footprints remain visible. The moment a pattern becomes visible, it stops feeling like part of who you are. It becomes something you can observe, and that changes everything. People rarely question what feels automatic, but they often question what they can finally see. Imagine opening that notebook after 7 ordinary days. You probably wouldn't discover a different version of yourself. You'd discover the version that routine had quietly hidden all along. Today wasn't about changing your behavior. It was about seeing it clearly. Because before you can recognize manipulation, before you can understand influence, before you can make better decisions, you first have to notice what has been quietly repeating all along. If you'd like to keep decoding the hidden patterns behind everyday behavior, subscribe and join us for the next chapter. Because next time, we'll explore why giving a hidden pattern a name changes the way you see it forever. Most people go through life being read. The decoded mind. Out.